Good morning. It is a pleasure to be here with you in person again after a couple of years. Because you see, I found out late in my life that Spiritism had given me a second unexpected gift. The first one was the knowledge that's transformative and helps me see things differently. But the second one that I wasn't expecting are all the friendships and the people that I have got to meet along the way that I would not have otherwise met were it not for Spiritism. So thank you. Thank you for being here. It's good to see old faces, meet new ones. Not that you're old, but you know what I mean. Um, and it's been a long journey. It's been a complex couple of years, has it not? We have dealt with a pandemic that has changed the way we work and live our lives. We have also been faced with social injustice and the clarity that the world is not as fair and kind to everybody as we would like it to be. And it has become apparent in these past years that we have a lot to do on that front to make sure that how we look like, who we love, where we're born, do not set us as second class citizens. We have also been faced with war as we speak. We have war breaking out in Ukraine and other places as well. And it has been hard. It has been hard because we're also now staring at this idea of economic uncertainty and how our economy and our lives will look like. And all of these things have taken us off balance. They have created all this anxiety and stress in us. And it's no surprise that we are grappling with mental health. We have homelessness. We have the prospect of suicide looming over us every single day in so many great numbers. It does seem, when we look at all these things up close, that life has not been kind to us, that the world has not been kind to us. And that's understandable. However, there's got to be more to this, and there is. And that's what today we want to find ways of living better now so that we can help shape a more fulfilling future for all of us. And I am absolutely convinced that Spiritism can help us in this path, can help us think differently and look up from what we see in the world and see that indeed there's more than meets the eyes. And so to that, I invite you to think slightly different right now and try a little exercise with me. What do you see here? What is this? Trees. What else? Fabric. Sunflowers. Dots. I have heard people call this chaos. I have even had a friend tell me that was the COVID virus. Whatever you see here is what you see here. But what is this, Dan? Well, what if I were to tell you that this is a small patch from a wonderful picture, a painting actually, by the French painter Georges Seurat, which is called A Sunday Afternoon in the Island of La Grande Jetée. And in this incredible picture, we see that tiny little patch there that I showed you, it's but a piece of the dress of the woman on the right side. And what I find fascinating by this wonderful picture, which is a huge canvas, basically the size of what you're looking at here in the screen if you're present with us, it's about 7 to 10 feet. It's a big one. Is that it's a marvelous new way of thinking about art George Seurat was one of the beginners of what they call pointillism. It's a movement of painting by points. And if you look carefully, the entire picture is painted by little dots. And I think that's incredible. It happened curiously at the same time that Kardec was around, Spiritism was coming about. But it's a different way of looking at the world that has also been really advanced and foreshadowed what is to come, because our monitors today, our TVs, work in the same fashion. The images are composed by little dots of color. So by doing this here, he paints a picture, and you can see that there's a lot going on in this canvas. We have a very respectful couple with an umbrella and a top hat up front. We have people sunbathing on the left. There's even a man there showing his shoulders. Ooh, quite risque, maybe for the 1880s, right? We have a boat sailing in the background. We have dogs and cats moving around. We have a whole picture and stories and lives that are pictured in this incredible work. But you don't get to see that unless you take a couple of steps back from the canvas. Because if your nose is too close to the canvas, all you will see are the dots. And while they're beautiful in themselves, and you can appreciate the detail and the technicality, you must take a step back to see the big picture. Can you tell where I'm going? And that is why it is a fascinating opportunity for us today to take some time to think about Spiritism and how it can help us live a better life. Because you see, Spiritism is a way of looking at the world, is a lens that helps us think not only materialistically, but spiritually as well. When we put our Spiritist glasses on, what we are really doing is seeing things from a higher vantage point. And once we do that, the things we look at transform themselves. Once we take that step back from everyday life, we understand our spiritual nature. And in so doing, we transform ourselves and the approach to the world. And that's why today, I don't want to talk of Spiritism. I want to carve some minutes to talk about Spiritism, to zoom out together, to see the benefits that Spiritism and the knowledge that it shines a light on can help us at everyday living, and how we can perhaps talk about shaping our future. It may be nothing new to you, but come on this journey with me anyways, because it's important for us to remember the beauty of these teachings and what they can symbolize and promise us. And the first idea that I want to visit with you is that the world will get better. Even in the middle of all chaos, we have learned through 107 years of Spiritist research, mediumship, communication with the spiritual world, that everything is constantly evolving. I'm evolving, you're evolving. Everything in this world is constantly getting better. We have learned of reincarnation. We have learned of spiritual progression. We have been told that everything from the most simple atom to the most beautiful spirit, which once was an atom, is constantly evolving. If that is the case, tomorrow will be a better day than it is today. The world is getting better. But then, that sounds contradictory to all those things that are happening. How can that be? Well, I propose to you that we are noticing things better now because we are growing, and the things that are not right are more obvious to us now than they were before, and that's why they bother us more. That is a good thing. The world is getting better. We are getting better. There's reason to be optimistic about what tomorrow will bring, even in the midst of everything else in the world that's happening right now. But sometimes We pay attention only to that which is not right. And we also need to be reminded there is a lot of goodness in this world. The good spirits even get a chance to tell us that the reason why sometimes we don't see the good in the world is because goodness is shy. What we see is crisis and attention-seeking behavior. But we don't see that there's a lot of greatness happening right now. Never in the history of humanity have we had so many people dedicating their time, volunteering their money to causes, whatever causes they believe in. There has never been so many nonprofits, so many hours at work in our history as a collective. That is reassuring. That ought to uplift us. And we have to understand that all we need to do to see that is take a step back from our world, from the news that focuses on that which is loud and obnoxious, to notice the kindness and the underlying tone of beauty that permeates everything in the creation. There is goodness in the world. Look around. This is a perfect example. We're gathered here today with lots of volunteers who receive absolutely $0 for the work they do to put this together. It is a miracle in a world that tells us that everything that we do should have material or financial gain attached to it. We're like little salmons running upstream, saying that great things can come from people who dedicate their time to something they believe in. Spiritist groups are the same. They're little islands of beauty in the middle of a chaotic world. There is goodness in the world. But before I bore you to death, let's move on. There's more. There's more that we learn in Spiritism once we put our Spiritist goggles in that can help us see life differently. And another one is the certainty that you were prepared for this. You were prepared for this moment in time, to all the chaos in the world, because guess what? You have survived 100% of your bad days. How do I know that? Because we have lived many lives. And let me tell you a secret. Since we have learned about reincarnation, we have to come to realize that even the thing that has scared us the most through the pandemic and mainly during our own lives, death, it's something that we have already conquered. I don't want to be rude, but I'm going to break it to you. You are pro a dying. You have died tens, hundreds, who knows how many times before. The worst thing that can happen is not us dying. It is not living. Because we have done that before. And now it's time to change. You were prepared for this. Every incarnation you have ever had has led you to this moment. You were placed here and you asked perhaps sometimes to be here to make a contribution to the world. Another way of putting this, perhaps not as eloquent, is spiritually speaking, when you put your Spiritist lens on, you're spiritually bulletproof. There's nothing you can do that will stop you from existing. But once we are too close to the canvas, we think we can. Once we're too close to everyday life, we don't realize that. But when we take a step back to see the big picture, we see love, and we see that God will have never placed you in a position in which you are not going to succeed. Because God, by definition, has to be kind and loving. If you are presented with a problem that is beyond your ability to meet that problem, it's unfair. And if it's unfair, then God would be unfair. And God, by definition, cannot be unfair. So what it means is we've got to flip that around and see that every problem that comes to us, it's actually spiritual compliment. It's spirituality saying, congratulations, you can solve this. you are now capable to handle this challenge. Not exactly how we think every day, right? That's why we have to take a step back, because you have to be sure that whatever it is that you're going through your life, family, relationship, challenges, you can figure it out, and you will. Now, it might not have the answer that you want at the time that you would like, but there will be an answer in a time and a place, and you are going to be okay, spiritually speaking. And you will grow. And that's something that when we are too close to our studies, to our lives, to our paying our mortgage, our bills, we forget. And we got to reassure ourselves and go back to that which we know. And what else? There is more good news. You have come to blossom, not to suffer. You were made to be happy. This creator that we are talking about, that is kind and love, has made you and has forced you to just do one thing in your entire spiritual existence. There's the one thing that you have no choice of. Everything else you have a choice of. And that one choice that you do not have is that eventually you will be perfect and happy. So we need to shed these things that we have been bringing with us from our past lives, where we think that life is suffering. Life is not suffering. Life is learning. Life is thriving. Life is blossoming. Yes, there is pain in the world. I mean, have you seen a man with a cold? It's the worst pain in the universe, right? But the point is, pain will be there, but what we make of it, the suffering, varies. There are people that go through life with a lot of pain and little suffering. And there are people, on the other hand, that go through life with a little pain and a lot of suffering. So can we shed that aside and tap into the beauty that it is to be alive and to be able to grow and learn? And that means making mistakes. That means accepting us who we are, because we are in constant evolution, we have learned. So don't come to think that you have come to suffer. That is not what you're here for. Our older brother Jesus says, happiness is not of this world, because it is spiritual in nature. But he did not say happiness cannot be in this world. As a matter of fact, when we do that prayer, "Oh Lord, we're in heaven," so forth, at one point we get and we say, "May heaven come to earth." Who is going to make that happen, people? Who is on earth right now? It's us. So we're the ones who are going to do that. So it's important for us to realize that happiness will come, but it will require effort. And that leads us to our next point, which is also important for us to talk about this. We're not on vacation. Life is not a wonderful beach seat with a pink drink and an umbrella on it. That's not what we're here for. When we look at it spiritually speaking, one incarnation is like a day at work. We come, we work hard, we go back, we rest, we reconsider things, and we come down again to work. It doesn't mean that you can't have a vacation. Be mindful. Go explore Houston, see things, do all that. But let's be honest that we are not here on vacation. We have been born in this time and in place to work on ourselves and contribute to the world around us. We have come to work. It's important that we remember that. That means we should expect to bump into challenges, into solutions. But again, we know that these challenges will make you grow, and that these challenges are not beyond your abilities, and that you can tap into many different people. And that is important for us to remember, because we forget when we are too close to the canvas. We forget. Our job is remembering. But there's good news. We're never alone. And I don't mean in the shower, people. We have also learned that life goes on and that our family, spiritual family, is greater than you imagine. We have gone through difficult times, and it's possible we may go through difficult times again. And in that time, we may so-called lose people that we care about. But do you stop loving the people who pass away? No. If life goes on, and it does, do you think that they stop loving you? Why do we forget that? Whatever they are, those who are dear to us and who are not physically present here continue to love us. That we have learned through mediumship. Some of us who can see and hear them cannot doubt that fact. And neither can we, because we read books by the spirits. We listen to their messages. We understand what they're trying to tell us. We are never alone. But you know what's even more beautiful when we begin to put our spiritist glasses on? We are reminded that we have also lived many times before. And so it's time to do some basic spiritual math, people. Don't need to break out the calculator. It's going to be simple. Don't worry. But what are we going to say here is that if you have had many lives before, and let's pretend, I don't know how many lives you had or I had, but let's pretend we had 50. And in this 50, we had more than that. Let me break it down to you, right? In this 50 lives, you had different fathers, mothers, husbands, wives, partners, colleagues, children, friends, dogs, cats, horses, neighbors. And in every life we come, we don't bring the same entourage all the time. So we have made 50 different groups of friends that we do not recall and whom we have lived closely and loved, and they have loved us. And again, they have not stopped loving us. That means that you have thousands of people that you have spiritually come in contact with through many lifetimes, if you're considering just 50, but we have more, who love you deeply and care about you. And even if you're not aware of them right now, they are still loving you. Can you understand the impact of that love and acceptance can have in your lives? If we stop to take a step back and let it in. That is why I think our spiritual friends talk about the spiritual family. And sometimes we think it's just, oh, it's my mentor, it's my guide, it's my grandma, it's beyond that. The numbers are far greater than this auditorium, cheering and rooting for you during all times. Just because you don't remember doesn't mean they're not there. You know what's even more beautiful when I start to think about Spiritism and this idea that we constantly progress? Is that I will reincarnate again. And every time you do, and I do, we will make new friends and we will add them to our families. And that love, that spiritual family will grow. And if that is not enough, remember that they too have friends who like them and by proxy will like you because they like them. So that's why we didn't break out the calculator, because we can't possibly calculate how many wonderful souls, how many love and support comes our way if only we put a spiritist lens on and take a step back. And that's important. Because once we realize that we are immortal spirits, traveling through space and time, growing, building relationships, and learning, everything changes. If only we can bring that knowledge to our daily lives. I sometimes joke that I spend more time every day brushing my teeth, twice a day for 2 minutes for the dentists out there, than I spend thinking about myself as an immortal spirit. We've got to change that somehow. We've got to make time for this. We've got to go back to this beautiful beautiful advice we receive from the Spirit of Truth in this wonderful book of light called The Gospel is Explained by Spiritism, when it says, Spiritist, love, that is the first teaching. Bring love to everything we do. The second one is learn. Love and learn. That is a good recipe for success. That is a good recipe for living right now. And the future? Well, if we are living the present with that awareness that Spiritism can bring us, if we are taking that step to step back and understand that we are prepared for this, our entire spiritual lives we're prepared for this, that we are never alone, that we are spiritually indestructible, and that we have the capacity to overcome everything that's in front of us, then we know that the future has to be bright. And that we are in control because there is such a thing as free will. So the future is in our hands. It depends on us, not on anybody else. We just have to go back to that which we know and think differently. Take a step back from the canvas and answer this incredible invitation that lingers with time. You see, I have placed here a picture of our older brother Jesus, as I call him, sometimes JC. And it's a different picture than traditionally we have seen in history. And that is meant to provoke some thoughts. This is a picture painted by a painter, Achini, which is more historically close to what the historical Jesus could have looked like. So that we can break away from that which we have heard before about this incredible spirit and reevaluate, because what he looks like is not important. But what he has come to show us, not tell us, but show us is, you see, when we take that step back from the canvas, I stop seeing a message of pain and suffering at the cross, and I focus on the one incredible legacy that he has left us with, which is life after life. He came back to show us that there's far more than meets the eyes, that the world is not just physical in nature. So if we are going to live well, we have to accept this spiritual reality that he pointed us to and that we have been hearing for millennia from all different sages and for centuries, and now for only 170 years from Spiritism. Seems like a lot, 170 years, right? But when we take a step back, it's not. That's why sometimes it's hard for us to understand these things, because we haven't spent that much time, spiritually speaking, with these truths in our heart. So can we make space in our heart today to renew ourselves, not by doing something incredibly difficult or portentous, but by going back to that one piece of knowledge that we feel in our hearts at one point in time, we felt it, and that we know with our brains now, in part because of Spiritism, that we will outlive these challenges, that we will grow beyond what is right now, that we together will do wonderful things, that we are going to change this world and shape a better future, one day at a time, with our own lives. Not by doing something miraculous, by remembering who we are spiritually and that we are evolving, and remembering who is next to us, a spirit also evolving. And when we do that, when we give ourselves grace and we give others grace and feel these bonds of kinship, what could we possibly fear? So yes to a time of great tribulation and challenges, yes to real hardships out there, but yes to our ability to overcome all of this because there is a God. Yes to lending a helping hand to those around us. Yes to being more patient with our parents or our children or our loved ones. Yes to remembering who we are. And yes to celebrating our spiritual selves, living better now, because if we live better now, we automatically shape the future. So thank you for your time and your patience, and may you continue to grow, love, and learn.